Okay, grid rows are another way of defining columns on your website and compartments, if you will. And the one defining difference between grid rows and column elements is that you can add unlimited elements within each of these columns. So with column elements, you're only allowed one row, basically box, 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 and then the next box that you put will start a whole other row. So if some of the content is really imbalanced, you can't stack multiple elements within those boxes. So this is just another way to manage, and there's different things. So each of these you could set the number of columns, of course. You could set backgrounds. You can do background images. You can do all sorts of different things. For example, even this blue line right here, different shades of blue, it's used solely for aesthetics and just for styling purposes. So let's show you how grid elements work. And grid rows, I should say. So right here is a grid row. And you can see there is the grid row element is this right here. And each of these boxes can be formatted individually. So let's go into this first box so you can establish the padding. So this is the padding around the edge. So the edges are from the edge of the box to where the content is. That is what your padding is. You could set your background color. So that one is this black one right here. Or you could put a background image. So just like anything else, you can add a background image. And you can set your screen options for each individual box in the grid row. So when you're in a mobile device, on a mobile device, you can hide it or just keep it as is. And there's a vertical align that you can play with as well. So those are the options you have with each of these columns in your grid row. The global settings for the grid row itself, you can set whether or not there are some borders. You can establish a height or not, a minimum height here. This one here is a custom height in pixels, so it'll pull up this second field here where you have to state what the minimum height would be. These are the section colors, so these are the defined colors within that area. And it has a mobile option, so two different options there. You can experiment with that to see which one is the best option for you, and screen options for the entire grid row itself. But the interesting thing is, so within this grid row, we've got a text element, but if we wanted to do a header and a text element all within the same row, that is possible with a grid row. Whereas with our column elements, it is not. To have multiple column elements stacked on each other and have them still stay within the same row. Okay, you can put different elements within a column element, but not multiple column elements stacked on each other. And you can see how that looks. So to set your cell size, you've got different options here. Or you can just add cells, and you can get up to 5. And you can, if you have 5, there's only one possible configuration because they don't get any smaller than 1/5 of the width. But if you want to delete a cell, you can. You delete those, and when you have 3, you have, of course, more options. So you could do 1/5, 3/5, 1/5. So all the possible options become available to you with each one. And you can see how this one here is that narrow little bar right here that is purely just background color. And the way that they did this is they set a custom height in pixels of just 10 pixels. So it's not intended to hold any content. It's just intended to be a divider. And so there's lots you can do if you get creative with grid rows. By the way, this is a full width element, so it does not work with sidebars. So this will span the entire width of your screen, no matter how big. And those are grid rows.